Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the internet's slowest growing Battlebots podcast, and with good reason, of course. I am your main host of the Mac and Jack Robot Rumble. You know, aside from Mac going into business for himself and putting his name first.
Jack,
You can't see it now, but I'm shaking my fist at him. Right.
Jack, you have to put
Jack,
this. You have to put the better person second. Why do you think that Ed and Eddie ended with the best character? Tell me.
but I mean, Ed was the best character, so
He's the second best character. Look, you start with the best character. Yeah, okay, then you start with the best character. You start with me. See, I just tried to put you over, but you rejected it.
Okay, and introducing my cohort, the self-appointed president of the Death Roll fan club, the man constantly on standby for the next coming of the Australian Emu War, and the amateur Billy Butcher impersonator himself, the Mac.
What up, everyone?
Well, Mac, I'll tell you what wasn't up. The episode for the usual time that it usually goes up. We had to wait an entire extra day in order to be able to review this, and as a result, we had to watch it today instead of yesterday and properly let it digest.
Yes, we do, and that also applies to the episode itself because this episode was flaccid.
Oh, yes. This was, I'm not gonna say it was a bad episode or anything like that, but this was definitely a significant downgrade in terms of overall quality from the last two episodes.
Yeah, honestly, this might have been the weakest Battlebots episode I've seen since I started watching it again. I haven't seen I haven't seen the ABC seasons, so I only have the Discovery episodes to base that on, but yeah.
So wow, in 4 seasons, everybody, this is the weakest episode that Mac has seen, and as a long-time fan, this is the weakest episode I've seen in quite some time, and it's a real shame because taking a look at the lineup of this episode, it actually looked like it was going to be an absolute baller, but I guess that it just wasn't quite able to live up to the hype. Without further ado, let us dive into the episodes and the battles and the awards that are being given out. I don't know. Something is up with me today, so if I'm a little off kilter, you know why probably better than I do at this point, because I'm just so tired lately.
Coffee.
Yes, I've still not had coffee today, so.
Do you want to quickly talk about Shadow vs. Sub-Zero first? Even if it's for just a little bit, because that was a good fight. That was better than half of the fights on this card.
Yeah, but that was on the last episode, though, wasn't it?
No, we didn't even talk about it because it comes out Sundays. Which
to be fair, I don't think that we talked about the bonus fight on the first episode either.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, no, we didn't. Because it wasn't out yet. Shadow still moves like a goddamn dream.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the thing with the Omni wheels, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh hell yeah, smooth as butter.
Yeah, it's smooth as butter, sniping out great hits, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
everything that you would want to see.
It was a very good fight. Sub-Zero did decently. It did not get its weapon off at all, but it tried.
Well, that sums up Sub-Zero in the last couple of years, doesn't it?
Yeah, true.
We love you, Sub-Zero. Just we're just saying it like it is.
That team was not happy at the end of the fight. They were straight up upset. I gave it a 7. It was a fun fight.
Yeah, fair enough. Alright, okay, so moving on to this week's episode, and the first of the fights, Hypershock versus Slammo, which really set the tone for the episode. Not that this fight itself was bad or anything like that, but it kind of did establish the precedent that we were going to get throughout this episode, where one side would just completely swarm all over and dominate the other side, and to the point that the fight itself wasn't that good, but it did have a few good hits.
Yeah.
It was just one team completely picking apart the other team, and yeah, that I think you'll find as we discuss it this week that that's a common theme.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a decent fight. Slammo tried. That's the best way I can put it. Like, it did better than a lot of the other robots on this episode. I'll give it that.
Although it was still getting kicked all about the Battlebots, to be
Yeah,
fair.
true.
I was really hoping to see it dish out some really cool suplexes. As as you would expect, considering that right before this we had actually been watching some AEW and watched a hook match.
Yes, oh god. We should
Yeah,
just make an AEW podcast.
featuring the son of the human suplex machine himself.
Yes.
But one thing's for sure, we will not be sending for Slammo this time.
Maybe next time. Maybe they'll change its hairdo and it'll get better. But I mean, Hypershock looked good though.
Oh yeah, Hypershock definitely looked good in this one. Both of us were backing it to win, and yep, true enough, that was what ended up happening. Walked away, not a great fight or anything like that, but some good hits, and it's good to see Hypershock actually start off the season with a win.
Yeah, I hope they do well this season.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Moving on, we came to what was probably, up until the main event, the best fight of the episode. P1 versus Valkyrie.
Oh.
Right away, I went into this fight thinking that we had a potential dark horse on our hands because we know how good Valkyrie is, and P1 proved itself to be the surprise story of the last season, albeit getting shut out from the top 16. Although, if I'm remembering what I heard correctly, it was the reserve pick for that, for if something went wrong for one of the other teams.
Yep.
But yeah, we saw last season P1 establish itself as a legitimate contender, and also an excellently driven and aerodynamic robot. And oh god, did that get put to good use here, because they came out absolutely swinging, just charging right into Valkyrie's weapon, box rushing them, taking some big hits in the process and losing one of their wheels. But oh my god, did this strategy pay off, because they just stayed on them absolutely aggressively, not giving them any breathing room, just slamming into them as much as they could, until finally Valkyrie's weapon broke, just bursting into flames, burning itself out, Valkyrie losing movement, and just, fantastic showing from P1, who, even if they were only showing a little bit more translational movement than Valkyrie by the end, just executed their game plan perfectly and managed to just completely shut them out.
Yeah, it was a weird fight, but like I enjoyed it a lot. Like P1, another robot that moves like a dream. It just it was just going all around Valkyrie. It was fun.
But yeah, brilliant tactics and strategy from the P1 team, and really showing just how strong P1 actually is, because while it was definitely having mobility issues by the end, it only lost one or two of its wheels, and everything else remained pretty much entirely functional.
Yeah, exactly.
And more than this, P1, if I'm remembering correctly, actually won a unanimous decision rather than a split decision, didn't it?
Yes, it did actually. Yeah, because like we were kind of worried that like Valkyrie was going to get the W there. Yeah,
mainly because of the damage quota. But all the control and the aggression was P1's in all of this. And that's not to say that Valkyrie didn't put up a good fight, but yeah, I guess the fact that they managed to keep slamming into them and managed to break their weapon actually did qualify for them in the damage category.
Yeah.
But yeah, great display by P1. Great way for them to kick off the season. I'm really looking forward to seeing them do more this year, and I'm really hoping that they manage to make it to the top 16 this time. And considering what goes on in the rest of the episode, we both agreed that this was a good time to hand it the Spike Dudley Dark Horse Victory Award of the night.
Yeah, honestly, P1 is absolutely going to be like the Dark Horse of the season, I think. Like,
yeah.
I can see it going very far.
Yeah, definitely. Like, last year, it only just barely missed out on getting into the top 16, and both of us posited that it actually did deserve to make the top 16 as well.
Yeah.
Alas, it wasn't to be, but we'll see how they do this year.
Yeah.
So, 8 out of 10 from me for this fight, and
I gave it a 7.5.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. Now, moving into the next fight, we had another rookie contender, this time by the name of Riptide, an egg beater robot, which is actually quite the rarity in Battlebots these days.
And holy shit, Riptide is goddamn jacked. He
Oh, yeah.
dominated. He destroyed Huge here.
Yeah. To be fair, it was a fairly short fight, and they managed to get like an absolute monster of a hit in, and managed to knock them into such a way where they ended up in the screws and couldn't get out.
Yeah. I mean, I think Huge was close to getting out, but like it couldn't get there.
Yeah, they just couldn't get the purchase to get out of the screws, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, why didn't the screws
Now,
start earlier? That's the question.
Well, this is yeah. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, I don't really know where to go from there. If I'm being totally honest. There's not really that much to say about this fight. I mean, it's not so much a fight; it's more of a one-hit kill more so than anything else.
Yeah, like it was the start of like the big 4 matches in a row where it was just a blowout.
Pretty much. Now that being said, Riptide scoring that monster of a hit on Huge. Fantastic hit, and I'm really hoping to see some big things from Riptide moving forward, because one of the things about Battlebots, you don't see as much as in other sports, the young eat the old, basically.
Oh, yeah, true.
Like in stuff like MMA, the old guard often gets eaten by the young new fighters. You don't really see that very much in Battlebots, though, because Battlebots, like, it's one of those ones where the longer you've been fighting, then, you know, you really are going to have a massive advantage over the newbies.
Yeah.
But yeah, Riptide, fantastic opening performance by them, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do moving forward.
Same. I have
Yeah,
I have big thoughts ahead of it. Like, enough thoughts. Like, oh god, I don't know what I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, I have big expectations, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, apologies to the audience. We both seem to be a little bit off of our game today. But
I mean,
this episode, but compared to the other episodes, this episode was off its game. So
yeah. I mean, look, there's not a lot we can really say about this episode.
Yeah, because like as you pointed out, the next few fights were pretty much just blowouts. I mean, the next one, Fusion versus Cobalt. Let's see, we didn't even have a score for Huge versus Riptide, so we just gave it like a 5 out of 10.
I gave it a 5 out. I gave that a 5 out of 10. I had no notes for fucking Fusion versus Cobalt, like none at all.
Well, to give everybody a little bit of context, Cobalt is a championship caliber machine as created by the likes of Dave Moulds, who was a previous champion in Robot Wars with Carbide and in King of Bots with Tungsten. And unfortunately, it couldn't be the original Cobalt team couldn't be there this year because they became parents recently, and congratulations to them on that.
Congrats.
So they sold off the machine to the Gigabyte team, who assembled another team in order to use Cobalt. And this time coming up against Fusion from Team Waiachi. And both of us, going in, we were expecting Cobalt to win this after Fusion's mechanical issues last year. And I don't know what the driver of Cobalt was thinking here, but didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way that I can put it, to be honest. Just trying to go weapon to weapon each time, and not a good move.
Yeah, like many questionable choices were made during that fight.
Yes.
Many. I gave it a 5.
Constantly trying to go weapon to weapon, just ended up getting their entire front plow chewed up and just them being immobilized. And this is the thing, it's not that I think Fusion is a bad robot or anything like that. And we know that the Waiachi team, as a rule, they do tend to be very good drivers, but this was just a maddening series of decisions on the part of the Cobalt team, because basically just adopting what was described with Duck later on, the Rocky Balboa approach of trying to break your opponent's hands with your face.
Yep.
Or the Ronda Rousey approach in her final fight, if you will.
Oh wait, what was it?
Mac,
what was it?
Mac, you were there for that, weren't you?
Was it? Wait,
yeah,
was
you
it?
were there for that.
Was it final fight the Holy Home fight? Because didn't he have like another one after that?
Oh yeah, I think after that was the Amanda Nunes
Yeah, no,
one.
because I was there for like when she lost the title.
Ah, yes. Okay, my bad then. But yeah, adopting the Rocky Balboa approach of trying to break their 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 hands with their face, and it was a bold strategy, but it didn't pay off for them.
It did not.
Oh god, the irony here of that basically being what happened when Duck fought Cobalt, and
Oh.
Cobalt ripped Duck's face off and ended up losing despite that. And this time it's Cobalt is the one that gets ripped apart from, fucking charging into its opponent's weapon.
Yeah, I mean, like, cause is this like the first like fight actually using like this team using Cobalt?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, then it might just be like it could just be a nerves thing or something. It shouldn't be a nerves thing, but like, I look, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the mindset.
These were a bunch of mistakes that Dave Molds would not have made, but I digress.
True.
Anyway, yeah, there's nothing special about this fight. I give it a 5 out of 10. It's just one robot getting eaten by another due to bad tactics.
Yes. Speaking of, actually, no, not even speaking of. Next fight, Black Dragon versus Ice Wave. It was another blowout. Yep. 5 out of 10.
Both of us backed Black Dragon for this, and Black Dragon just,
it does what Black Dragon does.
Over Ice Wave, and that being said, we were very happy to see the return of Black Dragon's little mascot duck again with his little shade.
At least one duck went over.
Yeah. Ducks out for Battlebots, everyone.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see Ice Wave back in action as well, because I missed Ice Wave after their previous appearances where where they fought Vanquish and they slipped into the box and they split them open like a coconut.
Oof.
But that was not to be this time. Unfortunately, time seems to have caught up with Ice Wave, and once again, there isn't really that much to say. Black Dragon is one of the best driven robots in the sport. Fantastic team, very potent weapon behind the robot as well, and it is built like an absolute tank. And Ice Wave didn't really even get a chance to get going in this one, as Black Dragon just smothered them, knocked out their weapon, and KO'd it in pretty short order.
Yep.
It's another 5 out of 10 from me.
Same.
I'm sorry, everybody, that we haven't got that much to talk about with this one, but there really just isn't that much for us to say.
It's really not, like... Unfortunately, there's a little bit more to say for the next fight, because, oh man.
It's basically squash match after squash match after squash match tonight, and it's quite unfortunate, because ordinarily we get a lot more in the way of competitive fights.
I mean, consider this, like, if the squash matches, like, if the really bad squash matches are, like, sort of front-ended, then, like, that's probably better, like, for, like, the tail end, I guess. But then again, who knows how the actual rest of the season goes.
Yeah, fair enough. On that note, we move on to the return of the king, Duck, coming back to the sport.
Yes.
After a year off on account of COVID.
Cobalt! I like the idea of Cobalt being the reason.
Now, to be fair, Cobalt did fuck him up pretty badly.
Yeah,
when they fought, so.
True.
So I will say that was intentional and deny all evidence to the contrary.
That exchange right there was more entertaining than this fucking fight.
It's unfortunate, but unfortunately, yes. You would think that Witch Doctor versus Duck would be an absolute barn burner, but in all honesty,
it was sad.
There's really not that much to talk about with it. Again,
it actually kind of upset me.
Yeah, same. It's a rough match for Duck to begin with, because Duck is one of those robots that, unfortunately, it's a very difficult fight for it to win at the best of times. And I am struggling to find the right words right now to quantify my disappointment.
Do you think the fight would have gone differently if they didn't have, like, the front little wedges on it?
I don't know. I mean, in and of itself, the forks weren't a bad idea. It was more just not being able to really get them into play before Witch Doctor, ripped one of them off, and that,
Yeah,
hampered it throughout the rest of it.
true. I mean, it's kind of the same thing as Endgame, like in the first episode,
Essentially.
but less entertaining.
Now, again, there's really not a lot to say. Some big hits from Witch Doctor ended up basically disabling Duck's weapon. Duck did manage to charge in at one point and disable Witch Doctor's weapon
Yeah, that
with
was a good
a
hit.
well-placed charge. But all in all, there really wasn't a lot of excitement in this fight, if we're
Yeah.
being totally honest. It was basically just Witch Doctor overpowering Duck and pushing it around.
It was very
and
sluggish
just
pushing.
being aggressive. It was I'm losing any sense of perspicacity I have at this point, just from how boring this episode was for me. But
Like,
this basically fits the unfortunate perception of some of the old robot combat of boxes bumping into each other.
yeah,
that
that's
people
probably the best.
that people used to insult old episodes of Robot Wars and things like that.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. Really, it was just a big pushing match.
Yeah, and unfortunately, not even an entertaining one.
Yeah, like that. It was just two robots limping along.
Basically, yes. So a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, like
Putting on the Bret Hart face for that one. But the episode was saved by the following fight. The main event. The fight of the hour. Copperhead versus Lockjaw. Where to begin with this one? Oh boy. Like, I've actually got it here in my notes. The last chance to save the episode, and boy howdy does it do so. Now, before we talk about the fight itself, I want to say I love how they made Donald Hudson look like a supervillain in the fight package beforehand.
Oh god. Yeah, look, you have to have at least one villain every episode, and it had to be him this time. Even if he's not.
Donald Hudson, he's the farthest thing from a villain as well. He is just one of the all-time great robot builders, and he's just an absolutely wholesome guy from everything I've seen.
Yeah, but when you look like the guy from Fargo, like you kind of have to, you just have to sort of play it.
Oh, fair point. But yeah, also a very nice spotlight on the assemblage artist as well, who was making a sculpture for charity out of the destroyed pieces of robot.
Oh yeah, that was the second best thing about this episode. Like that, I hope that goes well.
Also, shout out to the little legitimate snake that made its way onto the Copperhead team as well.
Oh yes.
Like, I absolutely loved that snake as well. It's such a cutie.
Did you find out like what type of snake that was? Like, but is that like a normal python or?
I have no idea what type of snake it is. No.
Okay.
But anyway, moving on to the actual fight itself. This was absolutely what we wanted out of a main event. There was high drama. It was fantastic aggression from both robots, going weapon on weapon at various points as well. Aggression, a lot of control, just a constant back and forth, even as we see Copperhead managing to score the big damage. Lockjaw constantly staying alive through Donald Hudson's fantastic control and aggression. And this was everything that you want out of a main event fight, especially if it's a vertical spinner versus another vertical spinner as well.
Yeah.
Now, Copperhead made itself out to be one of the big success stories of the previous season, and you just see it on full display here as they continue to deliver massively each time.
Absolutely. Like Copperhead, I think is gonna make it to like the round 16, like quite easily.
Oh, absolutely. Like that's they're one of my locks for the top 16 this year.
Yeah.
And I am hoping they're one of the teams I would be very happy to see go all the way to go all the way and win it. Like, personally, my preference for who to win the overall season is Mad Catter, but if Copperhead did so, I would also be very happy.
Exactly.
That being said, I would also love to see Donald Hudson go all the way to the championship as well, if he's able to get it going for himself again, because he pretty much always manages to make the top 16 because he's just that good. And we see it on full display in this fight as well, as, like I said, he remains competitive throughout the whole thing, and despite all of the damage being inflicted by Copperhead, manages to get a split decision loss.
Yeah, we were surprised about that.
Yeah, but this was easily fight of the night. Best driving award as well for Copperhead as well, and the other half of the Spike Dudley award, the best performance in a losing effort. That handily goes to Lockjaw. 9 out of 10 fight for me. Mac, your score?
I gave it an 8 out of 10. Like, I didn't think it was amazing, but, like, I thought it was a really good fight. A very, very good fight.
That's very good. And, yeah, and we come to the close of this particular episode's review.
Yep.
And we have ended on a much, much earlier note than we normally do, because there was just so little to discuss this time.
Yeah, like, we're around, like, 26 minutes now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Usually we're around 40 minutes or more.
I mean, like, that's usually... We also, like, sort of bullshitted, like, afterwards as well. But, like, because maybe talking about Meatloaf will, like, sort of pad that out a bit. But who knows?
Yes. Unfortunately, and this is going to be our off-topic moment of the week, the other day we received the unfortunate news that the much-loved recording artist Meatloaf had passed away aged 74.
Yeah, what a...
And yes, what a loss.
Yeah.
It's an absolute legend in the music industry.
Yeah, one of the best. Like, honestly, like, probably one of the most creative, like, artists, like, I think I've ever listened to. Because his stuff, like, his stuff is amazing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's got so many great songs, like Bat Out of Hell especially, Midnight, The Lost and Found,
Yep.
I'd Do Anything for Love, so on and so forth.
Yep,
you are actually more familiar with Meatloaf than I am, because you've listened to his entire discography, haven't you?
Yes, I listened to the entire like his entire stuff, like, I believe up to that point, when I drove down to Newcastle, like, a couple years ago.
Oh, wow.
It was a fun time. A fun drive. And God, like, do you want me to, like, sort of list off, like, my favorite songs of his?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay, because obviously, like, Bat Out of Hell, like, actually, honestly, I would say pretty much all 3 of the Bat Out of Hell albums are, like, spectacular, like, easily his best stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because honestly, my personal favorite is wait, sorry, what was it?
Something that we should also point out, he was actually quite a good actor as well. Do you remember his turn in Fight Club?
No, actually, no. I've actually never seen Fight Club before.
You've never seen Fight Club?
I've never seen Fight Club. Do you want to watch that at some point, actually?
You really should, because it's a very, very good movie.
Yeah, it's kind of been on, like, the long list of things I need to watch, but, like, I've just never gone around to it.
Well, just remember, take the movie's overall message with a grain of salt, because because the whole thing about Fight Club is that it's meant to be an unreliable account from a man who blows up buildings because he's insecure about how good in bed he is. But I digress.
And there we have it, the entire plot of the movie. I do not need to watch that anymore. I haven't seen Rocky Horror either.
Wait, what?
I haven't watched Rocky Horror either.
I mean, to be fair, neither have I. So.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Could have been, like,
anyway.
That, so.
Alright, on that note, that about sums it up what we had going for this week. Matt, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we sign off?
Before I was gonna say, like, my favorite song is The Monster Is Loose, which is super underrated.
Oh yeah, my bad. Continue as you will if you were.
No, that's pretty much, like, gonna be the end of my point. Like, that's my favorite song.
Okay, fair enough.
Song of his, anyway.
But
yeah.
Fair enough.
We're a mess. Like, okay,
yeah,
I was thinking, like, yeah, maybe we should call it on, like, the meta stuff, but yeah, no, this is kind of a mess of an episode.
Oh well, it's the same as with Battlebots this week. There's always next week to come back from this.
Very true, very true.
Okay, our apologies for the up and down quality on this episode, to go with the up and down quality of this week's Battlebots episode, everybody.
Hey, we'll get better next week.
Like I said, We're the slowest growing Battlebots podcast in all of creation for a reason.
Indeed, we are.
All right. On that note, I'm Jack. He's Mac. Thank you for your time, and we will see you next week.
Bye bye.